Alright, so this is a video about how we use LaTeX, the computer language of LaTeX. So LaTeX, just so you guys are familiar, is this app, or this, is this computer language that allows us to use math equations or type in math equations. So I'm going to go to a website here. So to you, it just looks like a blank page. Actually, I'll type in Google Works bar here, host math. Okay. So host math is the equation editor. So notice how in the top line here, I have a whole bunch of this seemingly interesting looking code. But look at the bottom. Notice how I have the quadratic formula, right? Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4c all over 2a. And that is how you type it in LaTeX. Now, you guys might be like, well, that seems weird. Like, why do we have to do it this way? So how does this work? So if we wanted to recreate the quadratic formula, first of all, it's a fraction, right? So if I come over here to the left panel, if I click on the Math tab, which is already defaulted to, I notice a whole bunch of different options here. So, AB over CD, that's a fraction. So notice how I do backslash frac, and then two curly parenthesis intervals here. And down here, this is what it looks like. So if I were to change this to 3 over 5, that's how you type in the fraction 3 over 5. Okay? So when I do the quadratic formula, so it's negative b. Okay, cool. Now plus minus, right? So plus or minus is a symbol. Notice how that's also here in math. So notice how that's plus minus. If I click that, in LaTeX it's backslash PM. But down here, notice how it's negative b plus or minus. Perfect, exactly what I want. Then, after plus minus, it's the square root, right? Plus or minus radical. All right, so we want, over here, the square root AB. Okay, so notice how I put backslash SQRT, and then another set of curly brackets, and everything inside the curly bracket is going to be what's the square root of. And notice how it says AB, but we want it to be b squared. Now in LaTeX, squared, how we do that, is the caret symbol, which is above 6. So if I did shift 6, notice how it puts a caret symbol, and look down here on the bottom, it's now b squared. Let's say you didn't know how to do that. You're like, oh, I want to do an exponent. Let's delete what's there. And then over here, if I want a to the power of b, so you notice how, a to the power of, and then I want, well, actually I want b, oh, so I can do that. Okay. So I want b squared, so to the power of 2. Then, so continuing the square root, so minus 4ac. And notice how that all looks good there. Okay, so that is how we do that. And then all over 2a. All right, so that's how LaTeX math works. That's kind of a general introduction there. So here is how we go about actually answering questions. So like for the example, here's this fantastic worksheet. So solving the equations. Let's say, and I'll do an example where I know it's going to give me a radical as my answer. Okay. So if we were to solve number 2 right there, okay. So if we were to solve number 2, the answer to number 2 would be n equals 5 plus or minus radical 23, which again I already have the answer. So how I would type this in, so I'll go ahead and clear that here. So first I type 5, there's no special math there. So 5 plus or minus, and then we need the square root, and then it's 23. So notice how I did it up there on top in LaTeX. On the bottom it shows me a picture preview, and that's exactly what I want. Okay, so that's how LaTeX works. So we can do it with something more complicated. Let's say I had let's do another problem here. Let's say number 4, for example. Number 4, I already worked it out. The answer is going to be negative 3 plus or minus radical 5. Oh no, it's negative 5 plus or minus radical 7 over 3. There we go. Negative 5 plus or minus radical 7 over 3. So the answer is a fraction, right? So that's usually the first thing I need to identify. It's going to be a fraction. In the numerator, it's negative 5 plus or minus And then we have the square root of 7, all divided by 3. So again, notice how up here it's in LaTeX, down here it is in what the answer would look like here. Okay, so that's how kind of LaTeX works. That's how you use it. Again, these functions are very powerful. And notice how I said save this for last. If I go down to symbols here, infinity is down here, which you might need a little bit later. So the infinity symbol is under symbols towards the bottom row.